What's up, Wizards? It's Dev. Mtg, all that stuff. We like it in Magic, and today we got some real dank jank for you. This deck was first brought to my attention by Twitter user Gabe Birch, and his deck was a little bit different. I've taken some liberties here, but I've asked Gabe if that was okay. He said go for it, but there are some things in here that I need to go over before we actually get into the arena with the deck. Officially, this is basically a Shimmerwing Chimera deck. And I like Shimmerwing Chimera. It's a really cool card in Limited where it can do some really fun stuff, but can it do fun stuff in Standard? If you get set up, yes, it absolutely can, but it's still kind of like a really bad version of Thassa that says enchantments on it rather than creatures, right? So Thassa is a 4-mana enchantment creature that allows you to just keep playing, the same creature over and over at no mana requirement. Whereas Shimmerwing Chimera, you still have the mana requirement, and it's not indestructible. It's just got 2 toughness on a 4-drop, so they can shock it for 1 mana to kill it. Dead weight kills it for 1 mana. It's just a little bit precarious to base a deck around this card, but it is a really, really fun card, and it turns out that we can build a deck in such a way around it that we get to play a bunch of really powerful cards, where Shimmerwing Chimera is maybe the least powerful card in the deck. Now, if we're going to build a deck around Chimera, the best way to do it is to have a bunch of strong 2 and preferably 3 mana enchantments on the curve up under it. That way we can go enchantment on turn 3, turn 4 Chimera, and then turn 5, pop an enchantment back to our hand for a little bit of value. Now, that means usually we're going to be casting a 3 mana enchantment on turn 5, so we have to play really strong 3-mana enchantments. But we have a bunch of them in this color combination. Oath of Kaya just allows you to pop it back to your hand over and over to kill creatures and whatnot, or just slowly drain your opponent out. 6-point life swing per turn from Oath of Kaya can sometimes clinch a game in just a couple of turns. It's pretty decent reach if you've been able to do some damage to your opponent up to that point. You get 2 turns recasting Oath of Kaya over and over. That can be a lock. Plus, this is really good to recast against aggro decks and whatnot, so Oath of Kaya definitely goes in. Treacherous Blessing, this is a great shell for it. Elspeth's Nightmare, I'm only playing 2 copies of this, but this is a pretty sweet card to be able to bounce back to your hand with Shimmerwing Chimera. The last chapter on it isn't necessarily great. It can be important some of the time, but the first 2 chapters where all the real business is on this card. So just being able to play it on turn 3, get chapter 1, chapter 2 on the next turn, and play Shimmerwing Chimera. And then on turn 5, before chapter 3 goes off in your draw step, you get the upkeep trigger on Shimmerwing Chimera, so you can return Elspeth's Nightmare to your hand. I like that a lot. There's also an Idyllic Tutor in here in the 3-drop slot. And this, I'm only playing 1 copy of. I believe Gabe is playing 2 copies in his build. Elspeth Conquers Death, really powerful card, another amazing piece of removal for the deck. And we can get back dead Shimmerwing Chimeras with an Elspeth Conquers Death on Chapter 3. And that's really important some of the time, just because Shimmerwing has such a huge target on its back, and it's not hard to kill whatsoever. So you're going to have to bring it back from the dead. Elspeth Conquers Death is good at doing that, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We can bounce it back to our hand and just exile stuff over and over if we have to. It's a really, really good play for the deck. But there's also things like Dreadful Apathy. This is one of the cards I was told not to sleep on. Basically, there are 2 cards in this deck that I've kept in because I was specifically told by Gabe not to sleep on these cards. Dreadful Apathy, there's a bunch of cool techie stuff you can do with this card that you can't do with things like Banishing Light or Prison Realm, for instance. One thing that Gabe pointed out on Twitter, it's kind of a cool trick, is that you can effectively grow Starfield Mystic at instant speed with Dreadful Apathy. Now, you can also just bounce it back to your hand with Shimmerwing Chimera and target different stuff if you want to, but it's cool to be able to stick it on something and then pay the 3 mana, exile the creature, Dreadful Apathy falls off, and suddenly your Mystic grows, and that can be a play I would imagine a lot of people don't see on the board. It could probably trick some people and lead to some interesting situations. So I like that about it. And Apathy's just not a bad card in and of itself. But the other card that I was told not to sleep on, and I'm really, really interested in, is Flicker of Fate. I like this a good bit in theory, but we'll see how it does in practice. Now, Flicker really does a lot of techie stuff. I said that about Apathy, but that's way more true of Flicker of Fate. One cool thing that this can do, and there's a million of them, so bear with me here, is that if you have a saga, like an Elspeth Conquers Death or something, then when Chapter 3 triggers, then you can Flicker of Fate it while that trigger's on the stack. And then it comes back fresh on Chapter 1, and that seems really good with any of the sagas. I like that. But this can also save a Shimmerwing Chimera from a removal spell or something. That seems pretty good. Just flicker any of our enchantments that have ETB triggers. That seems good. Flicker an Oath of Kaya for instant speed removal. awesome. You know, Flick a Dreadful Apathy to move it onto another creature. That sounds pretty cool. And also, like, remove a creature from on your opponent's side of the board from combat in an emergency situation. It plays pretty interestingly, I would imagine, against Embercleave, because if your opponent attaches Embercleave at instant speed during their combat step, you can just flicker the creature that they attached it to. And that creature is no longer attacking. Embercleave is unattached. They can't reattach it during their combat step because obviously attaching equipment is sorcery speed, so maybe Flicker of Fate will come in handy in these mono red matchups if we hit any. But you know, there's just a lot to talk about with this deck. I like kind of all the ins and outs, and that's what impressed me so much about it. You know, aside from that, I really haven't talked about Time Wipe. Good card in a deck with only like 10 creatures, because you usually just have one creature on the board. Save Shimmerwing Chimera, kill everything else. Great reset button, and then Archon of Sun's Grace, which Gabe is not playing in his original build, but I think Archon is just too good in this deck to not play some copies of. I know it's not very good with the Time Wipe, but you know, maybe you'll just turn 4 Archon of Sun's Grace to block something, turn 5 Time Wipe, reset the board, and then replay Archon on turn 6 or something. But if you've already got a board full of 2/2 Pegasi, yeah, Time Wipe doesn't look great, but I think it's worth the risk. Archon is just such a ridiculous card, especially in the aggro matchups that I feel like we might have a problem with. But I guess the only other thing I want to talk about is just in the sideboard, I've loaded up a bunch of cards that could go in the deck for one reason or another, or reasons to play other colors and whatnot, because I really like the Shimmerwing concept. But all that glitters, interesting with Idyllic Tutor, especially if you're playing more copies of Idyllic Tutor, because there's going to be board states where you have a bunch of enchantments and a flying Shimmerwing Chimera or a flying life-linking, you know, Archon of Sun's Grace or something. So you can just search up all that glitters, and suddenly you have like a giant life-linking evasive, you know, creature that seems pretty good, like on an Archon of Sun's Grace or something. So in the late game, I could see this being an interesting tutor target for that. But there's also Heliod's Punishment. Just wanted to point this out because once it gets to, you know, 3 or 4 counters, you can always just bounce it back to your hand with Shimmerwing Chimera, replay it on something else or whatever, refresh the counter count. Minimize Prophecy. I was originally playing in the deck. I've since decided I don't think I like it very much. It's just a little bit awkward, although it seems like it's perfect, especially as a 4-chapter 2-mana saga. That seems like it's perfect for the deck because, you know, if you play this on turn 2 and then play Shimmerwing on turn 4, then by turn the time turn 5 hits, you can actually still pop this back to your hand. You know, that's the one thing, the one problem I have with Birth of Melodus. If you play it on turn 2, you don't actually have time to pop it back to your hand if you play Shimmerwing on curve. But I think Birth of Melodus is still just a really good card, plays really defensively. We need to get into the mid and late game to get our plan going. So I think Birth is still good, and if you play it on turn 3, you can still pop it back to your hand if you want to with Shimmerwing. So whatever, right? But Minimize Prophecy just seems perfect as a 4-chapter 2-mana saga, but again, in the end, I think it might just be like way too awkward for the deck, and there are better card choices. Aside from that, there's Omen of the Forge. If you wanted to play red, let me get into that for a second. I don't think that popping this back to our hand is nearly as good as Kai's as Oath of Kaya. But it's still worth pointing out. That's at least something. Erois' Blessing is at least an interesting call too. You know, 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker every turn seems kind of nice. But again, probably not as good as Oath of Kaya in a lot of situations. And then a Crow in War, which I think might be a little bit awkward, all things considered, but still an interesting option to be able to bring it back to your hand eventually. Aside from that, I guess if you wanted to play green, I also wanted to point out Setessan Champion and First Heroine Games. First Heroine Games, really sweet saga, just a good saga overall, but especially good to pop back to your hand with Shimmerwing every few turns, because really, who cares about that last chapter, right? But getting a bunch of 4/4s and drawing cards over the course of a few turns sounds good to me, so I could see playing it. Then obviously Setessan Champion. If you're popping an enchantment back to your hand every turn, then you're drawing an extra card every turn when you play it, and growing your champion every turn, so it might be worth doing, but I don't think it's worth like foregoing playing white or black in this deck to play green and getting cards like this. I think white and black just had better cards. Aside from that, there's some cute stuff like Omen of the Sun, which is probably not good enough in terms of raw power to make the deck, especially in light of the other 3 drops that we have access to. But Rule of Law, actually super cute idea here, because you can just like bounce it back to your hand at the beginning of your turn with Shimmerwing Chimera, and then play a card or 2, and then play Rule of Law. And that sounds outlandish, but like we have Starfield Mystic in the deck to decrease the cost of enchantments, so you know, all your other enchantments have decreased cost. Rule of Law only costs 2 on that board state, so it's not unheard of to be able to cast like 2-3 enchantments and then Rule of Law and lock your opponent out of more than 1 spell a turn. But you get to play spells. I just think it might be an interesting call. Turmeric Calls the Dead if you want to make a whole bunch of zombie tokens, and if you have a reason to want to mill yourself, Turmeric Calls the Dead makes sense too. Dovin's Acuity and Disinformation Campaign, both of these do cool stuff in the ETB and their enchantments, so just a thought, I guess, with Shimmerwing Chimera. I especially like Disinformation Campaign, but it didn't end up in the build. Laguna Band's Storyteller. This is a card that Gabe was playing in the main deck. He was just playing one copy. I really like the idea of this, but we've got Time Wipe and Elspeth Conquers Death. We've got a bunch of 4-drops too. You know, Shimmerwing Chimera is a 4-drop. Archon of Sun's Grace is a 4-drop. And ultimately, I think Archon is just better than Storyteller. But Storyteller does give you the ability to get back a Shimmerwing from the graveyard. You know, not necessarily right then and there, but faster than an Elspeth Conquers Death. That might matter. Or just any other enchantment. There's like 20 enchantments in the deck, so more actually. So Storyteller could be pretty good. A little bit of life gain on top of that. But ultimately, I think Archon and Elspeth Conquers Death are better cards than Storyteller. But that's just me. I could see this being a decent card in the deck. There's also Kiora Best, the Sea God. And, yeah, just make an 8/8. Just making 8/8 every turn seems pretty good, but 7 mana is a whole lot, so it didn't end up in the deck. And then the only other card that I should point out, because Gabe was playing it in his deck and I'm not, is actually Teferi Time Raveler. There's just already like so many 3-drops in the deck, although the conventional wisdom is that we're playing Plains and Islands, so we should play some number of Teferi. But in the end, I've prioritized, you know, getting 3 mana enchantments on turn 3 over getting, you know, Teferi. If we shoehorn Teferi into the deck, there's just less chance that we'll go, you know, 3 mana enchantment into Shimmerwing Chimera. But Teferi probably really good for making sure your opponent doesn't counterspell your enchantments or counterspell your Shimmerwing Chimera. And it's just a decent tempo tool, removal piece, drawing cards. All of it's really good, but in the end, I didn't end up playing it. I probably should, to be honest. I'm just, you know, I want to try stuff like Flicker of Fate, Dreadful Apathy, Idyllic Tutor. I want to try Elspeth's Nightmare, Oath of Kaya, Treacherous Blessing. So in the end, there just wasn't enough space for Teferi, which is probably the wrong move, honestly. Gabe was playing 2 copies. I'm playing 0. We'll see how it works out. I guess other than that, the only other thing is that there are like 25 lands in this deck. I think that it goes... let me get this right. I think it's like 15 white sources and 14 of each blue and black. So that's what we're going to rock with for now. I think that's more than enough talk about this ridiculous deck. Let's go into Unranked and see if we can win a couple of games with it and kind of demonstrate what we're trying to do and whether or not like it's a good enough late game plan to actually win. All right, we're up against Heisenberg, and we don't have any blue sources in our opening hand, but we do go first. We can get down a Birth to get at least a 3rd land, if not the blue source. And we can Treacherous Blessing, maybe get that blue source. It's working out. I get the feeling this could easily work out for us. Maybe the Treacherous Blessing will help us get to the Elspeth Conquers Death. But in any case, let me go ahead and throw the Swamp down, tell Heisenberg to go. Get it, start cooking over there with a Temple Garden. Maybe it's the... well, it could be anything. It might be the ramp or mid-range control thing that's going around. That deck is actually very good. I want to talk about that deck in a second. Or it could just be like Green-White Auras. We'll see. It's unranked, so I bet it's Green-White Auras, but who knows? Maybe it's Abzan Enchantments. It is Green-White Auras. Very, very likely. Here's a Paradise Druid. Alright, so we get our 0/4. Yeah, let's play Treacherous Blessing this turn. Maybe next turn we can Archon. We're just playing it like a straightforward deck. I wonder if we'll like fool people into thinking that we're playing with like Doom Foretold or something. Because this is a pretty Doom Foretold start right here. What do we discard? An Omen of the Sea. I might come back to bite us because I'd really like to like Archon and then next turn maybe double Omen, but we can't do that anymore. Maybe we can Archon and then next turn like Treacherous Blessing Omen? Ooh. We'll see. It's going to end up costing us a lot of life here in the end. Setessan Champion. Let's soak up their turn with that. But then next turn they get to start like go in bonkers. Go in bonkers. Let's gain our 2 life by Birth of Melodus. What do we do this turn? We just play Archon? It's looking like it, yeah. Let's do it. Let's play that Archon. Get set up. Yeah, cool. We'll take a damage. That's fine. Or lose a life. There is a difference. I said in the thumbnail of the last video that we're getting infinite damage off of an infinite cow combo. And then somebody in the comment section was like, well, actually, it's loss of life. And the thing is, they're right. That person is 100% correct. You got me on the semantic point. So we lose a life there. We do not take a damage. They get Temple of Blinning. They're scrying it to the top. Means it's a good card. Then they're going to play an enchantment and draw it. This deck is good. Like, Green White Auras is a good deck, man. I hate that it's just like just barely below the sort of cusp of playability, but even okay. So they Transcendent Envoy. So is it test and training or all that glitters? What's coming next? What's this 1 mana going to be spent on? Holmes, what you got? Heisenberg. It's going to be something. They're having a tough decision, so they must have multiple options here. Do you hold up for the Treacherous Blessing that this deck sometimes doesn't even play? Okay, it's a Sentinel's Eyes. Cool. Oh, that's good. Those are good cards. At this point, what you gonna do? Nothing. Nothing at all. You can still play something with Paradise Druid if you want to risk it. If you want to risk it. Next turn, maybe I'll just Elspeth Conquers Death away. This is Tessin Champion. Hey, that's cool. That's all good news. We can just like Starfield Mystic, Omen of the Sea. That's a thing. So we can Omen of the Sea, and we'll have 2 mana left because we have to play a land still. We could have 2 mana left after we Omen. And then we can Treacherous Blessing and just start taking all the damage. But we'll draw all the cards, right? So maybe maybe that's what we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 3. So now I think I really want to Elspeth Conquers Death this turn. I think I really do. Let's get it. Let's take another damage, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, we're gonna be like 18. It's okay. I'm a little bit scared of this deck. I always am, man. Green White Auras makes me so nervous. It's just such a good deck. If you let him get too deep into the game, you're just done. Just gonna draw all the cards, get all the scries and stuff from Season of Growth. It's just such a disgusting deck if you allow it to develop its board presence. It's like Time Wipe would be okay right now. Even though we've made a Pegasus, I wouldn't really care. It'd be fine. And there it goes. What could you have done? Maybe... I mean, Treacherous Blessing probably wouldn't have... Well, it would have saved you. Well, no, because it wasn't enchanted. Well, Well, maybe I should get through here. Nah, nah. Well, yeah, let's do it. I mean, we've got a blocker either way, right? Let's gain some life back. See if we can bait them into blocking with Transcendent Envoy. Huh, they do. What are you going to do? Treacherous Blessing now? That would be cool. Probably shouldn't have risked it. Yeah, I just assumed. I was like, you don't have it. You don't have it. They always have it. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. As soon as I roll out my merch. It's been 5 years and I still haven't had merch. People ask me all the time, like, can I get a What's Up My Wizards t-shirt? Just SBMTG or something, blah, blah, blah. As soon as I make t-shirts, that's what they always have it. It's going to be one of the first shirts I make. It's actually a good lesson, man. You should always play around everything. You should assume they always have it. I think the first time I heard that was, I think Tom Martell said it in Magic Player. Like, just you know, play like they always have it. And on Arena, they do. So, I should have known better than to cast a spell. Or attack. In that case. But maybe we'll just get it back with Elspeth Conquers Death. But by then, they'll have gone completely banana boats. Just banana nut bread at that point. This is a hot deck, man. Green white, people just can't. People don't give it enough credit. It's good. It's a good deck. But I guess most decks in the format that aren't mono red play like sweepers and stuff. At least Shatter the Sky, but you know, if you're playing against fires, you got to contend with Deafening Clarion and sometimes Time Wipe. It's just there be sweepers in the standard, so sometimes this deck isn't great. Let's block P Diddy. Let's let the Transcendent Envoy through for now. Back to 19. It wasn't worth attacking with Archon because we basically just like gained 1 life, right? It's not a big deal. So we can Shimmerwing this turn. And Omen of the Sea, but we'll have to take damage for it. And ultimately that'll be 4 damage. So you can also like Starfield into Shimmerwing. Don't know how much I like that though. Maybe that. Maybe I do. Maybe I do, and I'm just lying. It's like a good play here would actually be Godless Shrine untapped, Shimmerwing Omen of the Sea, but good God. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, and then an attack set from our opponent next turn. So, yikes. But you know what I say? We're probably going to lose this game just based on our opponent's board state. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all the way. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, we are doing this. Let's Omen. Wouldn't it be sweet if I still had an Archon? Man, 2 lands. Come on, man. Come on, deck. We get a Treacherous Blessing. That's actually very, very funny. If you're a fan of comedy, subscribe to the channel. All in all, this has been a pretty cool game, though. It sucks that we just got Shimmerwing Chimera locked into place. And it is. This deck doesn't have that much removal unless they're carrying Banishing Light. And sometimes they do. But, you know, just like this deck has to be able, the green-white deck has to be able to develop its board state, like, pretty undeterred. It also, in turn, lets other decks do that for the most part. It doesn't carry that much removal, so. Shimmerwing Chimera might be locked here, but I'm not really that impressed, to be honest, like, by its effect on this board state. I'll probably just return Treacherous Blessing to our hand next turn, but I'm not really sure how much good all that does. I mean, we can always get Archon back with 3rd chapter. We can always just return Elspeth Conquers Death to our hand. Maybe get rid of this Siona, but I don't know how good getting rid of Siona is right now, just because, like, it's already created so much value. But if we let it stay on the board, it's going to create more. Let's see, that's 4 mana for an Elspeth Conquers Death plus 2 mana for a Treacherous Blessing. But I really want to bring Treacherous Blessing back to my hand. I don't want to keep taking damage from our spells. It's amazing that we didn't get attacked into that turn. I don't know why not. I'm really not sure why. Well, let's bring Treacherous Blessing back for now. Starfield Mystic gets bigger. Same thing will happen. Bup. Elspeth's Nightmare. +1/+1 on the Archon. Then Elspeth's Nightmare can get rid of this Siona. That's pretty good. It's like, well, yeah. Let's Nightmare first, just so we don't take the damage. I know I should probably draw the cards first before I decide how I'm going to spend the rest of my mana, but 14's not a great life total against this particular board state. They can still Treacherous Blessing to save the Siona, because if they do, it won't be 2 power anymore, but I mean, it's our best bet here. Yeah, we got him. We got her, I should say. It's Treacherous Blessing, restock. We're actually looking pretty good here. I mean, this is a decent turnaround, right? Draw some cards. Got another Shimmerwing, which we can't play, but we can play this Omen. So let's scry before we play the Omen. I'd rather have the other blue source than the other black source. Flicker, okay, let's see if Flicker can do a thing. Can Flicker do a thing on this board state? Maybe. Maybe. Go to 13, get a Pegasus, scry, and maybe draw this Flicker of Fate. We'll see what's under it. Starfield Mystic is pretty good. But it's probably not, like, amazing right now, so let's draw the Flicker. I wish we could play it. I really, really do. And then, I don't think I want to swing. Nah, we're good. We're gonna nice. It was a good turn. Maybe, I hope that's what they're nicing. It's like at this point, we're just 2 decks doing crazy stuff, man. We need solidarity, you know. I'm okay with that. I wonder if we can snipe a non-creature out of their hand next turn with Nightmare. I wonder if we can do that. Or if they just have, like, lands or something. It's like, maybe they have a Treacherous Blessing in their hand we can get. That might be cool. That'd be kind of cool. Hey, they're just going to, like, cast it main phase? Bruh. Well, oh, to Warbriar's Blessing. Oh, okay. Archon of Sun's Grace. It would have been really sweet if we'd had Flicker of Fate. Well, actually, well, it would have mattered. Well, no, it wouldn't have. Well, when they went to cast Treacherous Blessing main phase, then we could have flickered it. That would have been a thing to do. Alright, Shimmerwing. Maybe Treacherous Blessing again, right? Maybe just Omen. It's like, I could always get the Elspeth's Nightmare back. And, get rid of one of these soldiers. I think that's probably the lowest impact play I could make. Let's Treacherous Blessing. Go ahead and, get rid of that. Grow our Mystic. Now, hey, we drew a Starfield anyway, even though we put it on bottom. That's neat. So we got Flicker up. We can always Shimmerwing. Do I want to do that? So now things become interesting. Let's see. If we swing in with our flyers, we're getting in for 8 damage. But that's not really that much right now, is it? Let's see. We can always just like flicker all the auras off of Transcendent. So that's neat, right? Let's go ahead and play this land and scry. Don't really want another land that much. Let's Treacherous Blessing. We got an Oath of Kaya. That's something. Ooh, a Time Wipe. Okay, so what we do here is just swing in with everything. And yeah, even Shimmerwing. I'll do that. I'll do that. Because we can play Shimmerwing again next turn anyway. Oh, they're not even going to block it. Oh, why would you do that? Is that all your blocks? I mean, you really should block something with Paradise Druid. I guess you can't. I mean, you can block Starfield, but your Paradise Druid dies, so you don't want to do that. Just block with a 1/1. Man. We're going to get away with it, everybody. If they just, like, press the space bar. Alright, cool. We did it. Alright, so we can actually... can Flicker of Fate right now, but is there a reason? Not particularly. Alright, so we put him at 15 here. Let's cast the Time Wipe. Return the Shimmerwing to our hand. And just completely blow apart their entire board state. Okay, well, that's probably the game, especially now that we have Shimmerwing Oath of Kaya. That's a decent little lock there. Let's... set this stop. Rather set the stop than wait for it to go on the stack. Well, it doesn't matter anyway now, because they were able to grow it. Well, you know, I gotta say, I don't absolutely love the Setessan Champion on the other side of the table. That's pretty good against it, though, I would imagine. But Starfield Mystic. What is Idyllic Tutor? For a 3-cost enchantment. We don't have any 4-cost enchantments, do we? Other than Shimmerwing, we can always get a Shimmerwing and play it, but we have one in our hand, so whatever. Let's do this. Shimmerwing Chimera. And we can hold up Flicker of Fate here. Yeah, sorry for the wait time. I apologize, but I think I'd rather hold up Flicker of Fate than cast Oath of Kaya this turn. We don't absolutely have to, so let's just end the turn. I think I'd rather have the option. Yes, I am thinking. Maybe they're thinking now with their 2 cards. Setessan Training. Oh, Flicker of Fate, the Setessan Champion. And see how that works out. It's like they're just gonna scoop. All right, cool. Well, Hey, there's the first one, and it actually looked pretty bleak there while they were developing board state for a minute, but I mean, we were actually able to come back. Time wipe was key in that game, but even before the time wipe, we were building a sufficient board state to take to basically the driver's seat in that game anyway. So I think that was actually a really good example of what this deck can do once it sort of gets the proper pieces in place. All right, we're in against Kermon the Frog. Kermon, man. In this one, and this doesn't look incredible, but it's certainly not bad either. I don't love the 2-lander, but at least we get to scry. You know, we get to get more lands with birth. So we got all the colors that we need for the most part. So it's looking okay. It's looking okay. Let's open on Temple of Enlightenment. That's funny. We're actually in a position I don't want that plains at all whatsoever. There's only like 3 plains in the deck. So Birth of Melodus only has 3 planes it can go get, and we've got 2 in our hand. Okay, they start on Metamized Prophecy in their Simic deck. So far, Simic. That's interesting. I don't think Metamized Prophecy is bad. I think I may have given the wrong impression of it earlier. I just think it's a little awkward for what this is doing. Although Scry 2, when it comes into play, helps you get the key pieces and stuff. I'd see it being alright. Let's Starfield this turn. Hope it doesn't die. Because then we can just open up next turn, Jack. I feel bad. A lot of people make fun of how Joe Biden says, like, Jack and malarkey and stuff like that, but, like, I say those things. so I've just felt really bad the last few days, people making fun of that. And I'm just like, but I call people Jack. I think that you know, there's a difference between saying, like, hey, Jack, and like you're totally serious the way he probably is, and like just calling somebody Jack for comedic effect, which is what I do. You know. But we got our Starfield Mystic Ichthyomorphosis, and that's kind of neat. What a neat deck we're playing against. Minimize on turn 2, Ichthyomorphosis on turn 3. That's neat. Ichthyomorphosis, I have to pronounce it right. But at least you get a chance to see Starfield Mystic with a blue frame, and that's kind of cool. But what else do we do this turn even? I guess we just... yeah. Yeah, just tap Watery Grave. Let's do it. Alright. Well, I believe they're going to cast Enigmatic Incarnation this turn and draw a couple of cards. This is the deck that Prophecy goes into, because now they can just sack Prophecy for a 3-drop creature and start doing really cool stuff. Enigmatic Incarnation's such a cool card. Oh, it's this deck. Okay, cool. All right, it's the like weird proliferate like enchantments thing. I've played against a couple people with this the last few days. Let's see here. Guess we'll just Elspeth's Nightmare that away this turn. That'll basically be our turn. But I really don't want them to have that whatsoever. So then we just Temple. Just Scry Flicker of Fate next turn. Flicker of Fate, my own Starfield Mystic, if nothing else. Yeah. Yeah, sure. It's probably not the best card we could draw right now by any chance, by any stretch, but I'll still draw it. I'll draw that card. Man, next turn we get 3 life, and we get a card out of their hand, hopefully. Another Enigmatic Incarnation, cheeky. Go search up a 5-drop. Do it. Hey, it's this thing. Okay. Okay. That's cool. Oh, it's very funny. That's so funny. Alright, they don't have a non-creature, non-land card. What are you doing? Okay, I like it. I like this. This is what Unranked is for. Holy crap. Ha. Alright, so... Wow. I mean, I guess we just have to time wipe. Pretty much. Holy crap. This is a cool deck. I'm glad we caught this one on camera. Jeez Louise and macaroni and cheese. That's... What are you doing? Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Alright, Calliphy. Nice. Got an Elspeth Conquers Death to sort of counter that directly. Exile their yard. Alright, so We actually have choices this turn, but do we really have choices this turn? Do we actually? It is just spells, right? So creatures and enchantments you control have spells your opponents cast. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't affect Elspeth Conquer's Death. We could always Treacherous Blessing. We could Birth of Melodious Omen. We could Treacherous Blessing Omen. That's something to do. We could Starfield Mystic and then have 3 mana left over. So that's a lot. Like a whole lot. But I'm actually... should probably save this for the Nessian Boar. I'll do that. Part of me actually wants to get like railed by Nessian Boar. It's just... what a crazy card to be in a deck. Enigmatic Incarnation. Alright, super dope. Super cool. Man. Alright, so... I just can't get over this deck we're playing against, y'all. Let's go ahead and start setting up. Let's Starfield Mystic. Birth of Melly. Go get a Plains. Go get a Plains. Play said Plains. Omen of the Sea. Don't really want that right now. I guess I'll take the Elspeth Conquer's Death. Thank you very much. Then we'll Treacherous Blessing. Get that down. Restock. Hey, there's Shimmerwing Chimera. Things looking good. They're gonna get Nessian Boar. I was really hoping to get the thing, the 3-mana enchantment that means they can't attack or block. All right, what you gonna set? You're gonna sack it for a 4-drop. What is that 4-drop? It's a Renata. Cool. We got 3/3/2, bucko. What you gonna do about that? Let's go ahead and... well, now we have an Elspeth Conquer's Death we really should save for the Nessian Boar. Let's be honest. So we're going to take some damage this turn. Ladies and gentlemen, there's damage to be taken. Woof. Let's Shimmerwing. This party started right. Let's get this party started quickly. Right? Let it be, bang, let it be. That song is old. I have just dated myself. There's a Plains in a hand, but we knew that was going to happen. Alright, so at this point, let's just Temple of Silence. Bada bing, got a Shimmerwing. Bada bing with the wings. Let's keep it on top, just in case we lose this one, or maybe we want to. I don't know. It's possible. Next. Pretty sure we can just get in on attacks here, right? You want to trade? You want to trade, buddy? Let's not do it. It's like they're not going to block. They need a creature to sacrifice, but they'll just like play Renata. Yep, there's another green source, so they would have been able to do that. Of course, they didn't know they had another green source when they started the turn. I highly suspect they drew that. But let's see what Kerman does with their really neat deck that we're just giving them all the turns with. This is what I meant right before we came into gameplay when I said we'll see if this deck has the late game plan necessary to I guess we can just save the Flicker of Fate until like in turn or something. But let's see if this deck has the late game plan necessary to, you know, actually win games, because a lot of decks have like insane late game plays. You know, you get them to turn 6, 7, 8 and they can just do like outrageous garbage right now. So this might seem like a really cool late game plan, but like, is it? You know, like, is it really? Compared to some of the stuff that like Teamer Adventures can do on turn 8 or 9, right? Like I kind of don't. I'm not sure that I think so, right? So let's Flicker of Fate the Shimmerwing, get the Ictomorphosis off of it. God, I gotta get better at that. I'm thinking about just sending Treacherous Blessing to our yard here. Yeah, let's grow this Mystic a little bit. Just a little. Just a little bit. Girl, you wiggle it. That's another old song. For your ears. At this point, we will Elspeth Conquer's Death. We'll definitely do that. Get rid of the Nessian Boar. And they'll scoop it up. They'll scoop it up. Too much. Too much for them. The deck looks really cool too, man. Alright, in this one we're up against Poor Ron. No, Poor Old Ron is how I'm reading that. And this, hey, we finally see a Dreadful Apathy, right? But this hand really doesn't look great. We don't have a whole lot in the early game. But I guess we can draw cards with Omen. I mean, we can right the ship, and we go first, you know, it's fine. Just a little scry on turn 1. Let's get going, kids. Starfield Mystic. Good magic card, sure. Keep it on top. I really should prioritize getting lands right now, but Starfield Mystic. So, I mean, who can turn down a Starfield Mystic? Opponent leads on Swamp. We'll throw down Garfield Mystic. Garfield misclick. Alright, Agonizing Remorse. Try to suss this out, opponent. What are we doing? What are we doing over here? What is this? I can't figure it out. Alright, they got rid of the Omen of the Sea, which, you know, I guess makes the most sense. We got a Swamp, which is a land. I mean, at least it's a land, right? It could be worse. Let's attack in. Our opponent is likely playing the mid-range Croxalis popularized by Jeff Hoagland and then Day 9 TV when he played it. I believe Covert may have played this deck as well, but been seeing it a lot lately. It looks decent, but I think that there's a few cards in the list that aren't up to snuff when it comes to like card quality in comparison to some of the other decks in the format. Like this deck plays Mire Triton, and even though I think Mire Triton is a fine Magic card, I don't think that it's in like the upper echelon of like, you know, when you compare it to a deck like Bant midrange that has like every card is just absolutely unfreaking believable. You know, it's hard to suss out. Agonizing Remorse again. What you gonna get this time? I'm not saying that like just because the deck has Mire Triton it's bad. And we don't even know if this is that deck, but you know, when you're sacrificing card quality and slots for things like Mire Triton, sometimes even if you're given a bunch of synergy by Mire Triton, it's still not exactly like, you know, up to the grade. It doesn't make high enough marks. So, and again, in terms of overall card quality, but that's a discussion for another day. Let's go ahead and get in with Garfield. Say go. Let our opponent do just everything. What do you got this turn? Again, this wasn't a great start for us, but we knew that going in. It's cool to get the Garfield, the Starfield Mystic. That was nice. But it'd be nice to get something going aside from that. Agonizing Remorse has kind of kneecapped us. A tiny amount. But, I mean, they don't have a Creature to Apathy yet. So. Note that we can't conquer death like a Croxa. There it is. There's the K-Man. The K-Man. I think that Flicker of Fate is the... well, Resolve. It's probably the best thing to discard right now. So hopefully we don't eat those words. And then what you got? You got 2 mana left is what you got. And almost enough. Agonizing Remorse. Jeezy, crazy, macaroni. There's a lance. We totally needed that. So deck, I needed a lance so bad right now. God, did I need that land. I can't even tell you how much I needed that land, bro. Alright, so let's get in and enjoy, you know, the Wrath of Croxa possibly this turn if they have like a 1 mana instant or sorcery or something. Elspeth's Nightmare, that'll get rid of Starfield Mystic. We draw a land. I got a rock. Let's, I guess, do this. We got a target for it. Let's go. Elspeth Conquers Death. It'll get back this Starfield Mystic in a couple of turns. You know, right when it's way too late. Ashiok! No! Oh yeah, I knew. That's right. This deck plays a 2 of Ashiok. Pretty cheeky. You're not supposed to mill us. You're supposed to mill you. So you can escape the Croxa more easily. Silly goose. Alright, Blood Crypt into Blight Beetle. Into Blight Beetle. FSR. Hey, we got another land. Oh, man. Alright, you get another turn, opponent, because we're not drawing cards. This game's donezo. They're going to get Croxa this turn. And that'll go nicely with their Blight Beetle. Blight Beetle in the main. Blight Beetle in the main. Beetle in the main. It's just like, what? I'm trying to think of things that like this just completely hoses. Like there is some stuff that gets plus. Oh my god, 4 lands in a row. Come on, dude. Come on, brother. You got it. Come on, man. That's comical. I guess I'm hanging on in case we get like a Dreadful Apathy here, maybe? I don't know. They're gonna mill us. Hey, there wasn't a Dreadful Apathy in there. There was, whoops, why am I even looking at my graveyard? There wasn't like anything in there that helps. Yeah. Well, we're taking, what, 10 this turn? So let's get to that. Let's get to that part of the turn. Hey, it's a Croxa. We're gonna end up at like 3, and then no matter what we do, we're done. An Archon of Sun's Grace. Hey, at least it's a real magic card. I mean, it's an actual magic card. It's a spell that you cast. Well, good game, our opponent. Get out of this one. This one did not go so well. We're up against Legendary for this one. That's a name. You got to worry about someone called Legendary. And this hand looks fine. I mean, I can't lodge any complaints against this hand whatsoever. This is okay. Maybe if it had like a Shimmerwing, that'd be better, but hey, we got 2 waves to draw into it, so fine. I'm fine with it. Opponent over there having a struggle with the decision to keep 7 cards or mulligan, apparently. They do go first in this match. That's going to hinder us a little bit, especially if they're aggro. I really don't like Treacherous Blessing in the aggro matchup, but like we haven't really faced an aggro deck yet. I've been amazed, like, at, even in ranked, how little I go up against mono red, like, the last, I don't know, 3 days, maybe? But spoke too soon! Whoops! Here we go. Let's Temple of Silence, turn 1. It's a land. Do we need it? Kinda. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Sure, alright. So what, like, Runaway Steamkin this turn? Okay, so it's not that mono red. We're playing Electrostatic Field. This is a house of learned doctors. And we play Electrostatic Field in this house. That's Starfield Mystic. I have so much respect for you, opponent. I really do. It wasn't Robber of the Rich on turn 2. It was Field. Skill with the critics. 3 to the Mystic, 1 to us. That's how you do it. That's how you Electrostatic Field. That's exactly how one does it right there. I think I'll That's a trap, right? I mean, I need the Treacherous Blessing eventually, but I think I'll probably Omen this turn. Yeah. I'll go ahead and do it main phase. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care at all. Those are good cards. Those are really good cards. So let's do those. The next turn we can either Archon or Shimmerwing. Probably Archon. It might be tough for their deck to take out an Archon. Unless they're playing Lava Coil, and they very well may be doing that. Oh boy! They played another field, everyone. That's gonna be tough. But actually, that might end up doing so much damage. But let's get an Archon out there. See if that does anything. See if that just dies immediately. Are you reading it? I mean, maybe this is the first time you've seen ASG. ASG is gas. Runaway Steamkin. That's a cringy joke. Man, I can't Elspeth Conquers anything this turn. It's kind of lame. It's just, Shimmerwing. Let's do it. Maybe should have Treacherous Blessing. Get in. Go back up to 22 here. They're at 17. A decent position, but man, 2 Electrostatic Fields is pretty serious. Oh, risk factor. Nice. Nice. We're taking 6 here, everybody. Whew. Big stuff. Big spells. I guess we'll return the Omen to our hand. Hey, that's good. Do you think they have a 1 mana instant speed thing? Do you think they probably would have just like done it last turn if they had a shock or something? Because if they shock, then we can't kill their Runaway Steamkin. If they shock at instant speed when we target their Elspeth, their Runaway Steamkin with Elspeth's Nightmare. I will go ahead and Nightmare, though. Probably, I want to kill one of these fields, to be 100% honest with you. And then we can Omen again. Yeah, I think that's the right line. Idyllic Tutor. Let's sit back for a second. We'll have 6 mana at least next turn. So, and what does Flicker of Fate do right now? I guess we can flicker the Elspeth's Nightmare next turn. Idyllic Tutor. We can go get Dreadful Apathy. That's a thing. I guess I'd rather have it than not have it. I'm going to put Idyllic Tutor on bottom. Have Flicker of Fate. We can't cast it yet, but I'd still rather go ahead and have this card. So it doesn't matter. We'll just draw the Tutor next turn. Get in. Get in. Get in. Bam, bam, bam. Opponent at 9. We're at 21. So pretty hot. Pretty hot stuff. Yep, get out of there. Get out of there. I was gonna say get out of there, mono red, but that's not really fair. That's not fair at all. This is an electrostatic field deck. It's not really the mono red menace, but hey man, 3-1. We did it, everybody. We actually did it. In that last game too, we got to demonstrate something I didn't get a chance to talk about a little bit earlier, which is the interaction between Shimmerwing and Archon of Sun's Grace, where even if you don't have a great enchantment to return to your hand, you know, we just returned Omen of the Sea to our hand on that turn. It's still pretty sweet because you return Omen of the Sea to your hand every turn, you're drawing and scrying every turn, and you're getting a Pegasus off of Archon every turn because of Shimmerwing Chimera. So that's, I mean, even though Omen of the Sea doesn't look like an incredible enchantment, and even if it was like only a Birth of Melodus or something in that situation, it would still be a great loop to get a 2/2 lifelink, you know, every single turn. So, flying lifelink, or at least it has lifelink as long as Archon's out. So that's a good loop too, especially against the mono red decks, as we've just seen. So honestly, the deck didn't do too bad at all, even though we didn't really go up against a real deck. I'd say the closest thing was the red-black Croxa deck that actually just completely embarrassed us. Taking all the cards out of our hand turns out good way to stop our game plan. So, you know, but ultimately, I think we had a pretty good showing in the games today. Played against some really cool decks here and there too. The Nessian Boar Enigmatic Incarnation deck is just, I want to play with that one. It seems really, really cool. But in any case, really interesting deck here. We didn't get to see Flicker of Fate do enough. But I still think that there probably is a case for it in the deck. You know, I was intrigued enough to keep it. And even though I think it probably could be replaced by just better cards, all things considered, it is an interesting instant speed, you know, interaction to have, especially with all the sagas in the deck. And because you need something to save Shimmerwing every now and again, or an Archon. So I get the case for Flicker of Fate. Make your case for or against it in the comments section, along with all these other cards in the deck. You know, should we make room for Teferi in this deck? It probably wouldn't have been that great in like just about any of those games that we played today, but they're, you know, a 4-game sample size against a bunch of decks that aren't even real decks is not the best way to judge whether a card goes in the deck. But just in your opinion, do you think Teferi should be made room for, or do we prioritize these 3-mana enchantments a little bit higher than a card like Teferi? There's a lot of things I want your input on in this deck, because I think it's a really cool deck, even though I think Shimmerwing Chimera is a little bit too, you know, I won't say narrow is not the right word. It's a little bit, it's a paper tiger. You know, it's just a little bit too fragile to really want to base like a high level deck around with the 2 toughness and 4 mana costs and all that. But I still think that, you know, once we got into place, we did really well in some of these games, and we have a pretty decent game plan up to and including Shimmerwing Chimera. Like, just because we're playing Shimmerwing Chimera doesn't mean we're not playing powerful cards. We're playing a ton of powerful cards, and we've got a decent spread against the format. You know, we've got some removal in the deck, given that we have Dreadful Apathy, Elspeth's Nightmare, Oath of Kaya, which we didn't really get to do much with in these games. That depressed me. I think Oath of Kaya might actually be one of the best cards in the deck to loop with Shimmerwing Chimera. But we've also got Elspeth Conquers Death, fair amount of removal, some game plan against control, what with all the card draw, like Treacherous Blessing, discard like Elspeth's Nightmare. It also removes their graveyard, which is really important right now for against a lot of decks. And then Omen of the Sea, that's really good card draw too. So we got some life gain in the deck, what with Birth of Melodus, Archon, and Oath of Kai to counterbalance the Treacherous Blessing in here. So got a lot going on with this deck, and I think it actually has a chance, but you know, I think the better version of this deck is just the non-Shimmerwing Chimera version of the deck that's basically just blue-white enchantments. Like, I think that blue-white control is just a distilled version of the best parts of this deck, but if you really want to have all the fun in the world and abuse the stupid loop, Shimmerwing Chimera is the best way to go, and we had a lot of fun in these games. So if you're interested in it, I'll leave a link to the deck list on TCG Player in the description, as I always do. Would make a really, really fun F&M deck, I would imagine, and just a cool casual deck for that matter. But, you know, if you've got ideas for it, let me know down there in the comments section. There's probably ways to improve this deck that I haven't really considered. But aside from that, just like the video. If you want to like the video, it really helps me out, puts me in more recommended feeds. It's something I've been having a problem with lately. So, you know, help you dude out. Put me in more recommended feeds. Hit that like button. Really low effort way to support the channel. But you can also subscribe if you haven't done it yet. More gameplay, in-depth analysis along with puns and jokes and stupid crap like that. You know, I try to feel like I try to really make an effort, a real effort, to counterbalance like goofy, stupid puns and jokes with actual, real, in-depth analysis of decks and formats. So if you think I strike that balance correctly, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for the notifications, and consider supporting us on Patreon, just $1 a month, to vote on what decks we do on the channel in the first place. And yeah, $1 a month really isn't much to ask, and it helps out more than anything. It's the reason I'm able to keep doing this. But aside from that, yeah, just check out the deck list and let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. Any plays that I messed up or anything, that's the most popular thing to comment, so I don't even have to tell you that. But if I mess something up, let me know down there in the comments section. And I suppose I'll catch you cats later. I'm Dev from The Place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. Spread love and be kind.